I'm the Nevada Stray Cat, and I've come to the garage at my dad's house where I live, and in a moment the driveway, to examine the damage to my Ryker. Look a little bit at how it happened, think about what I'm going to do about it, and explain why my next couple of episodes are very likely to be somewhat delayed. Whoosh. And here we have the damage. As you can see, the plastic is broken completely. That part of the fender is just gone. You can touch the tire underneath. I don't think it's particularly safe to ride in this configuration, so I'm not going to. But the good news is there doesn't seem to be any mechanical damage. The A-arms are fine. The tire itself is fine. The rim is fine. I rode it for about a mile coming back from the accident site. There don't seem to be any mechanical oddities to that ride. So, how did this happen? For a long time, my local pizza place has advertised that they have sandwiches, but they haven't actually had sandwiches. So last Tuesday, I heard that they had added actual sandwiches, and I thought, let's go check that out. So on Wednesday around lunchtime, I went over there, and it being lunchtime, even on Wednesday in a resort town which is mostly full on the weekends, the parking lot at the pizza place was about 3/4 full. I saw a spot next to a large truck, and I parked in my usual fashion. I've talked before about the fact that when I park in a parking lot, I park in a full-size parking space, and I usually back in to have the increased width showing towards the parking lot, letting people know that the space is taken. This particular day, I parked next to a large truck. This large truck is mine, but it's standing in for the one I parked next to. I most often park with my front wheels approximately in the same level as the back wheels of the vehicle next to me. This provides a little more protection if somebody comes along and is riding too close to the front of the parking spaces. Unfortunately, what I didn't consider, and what came back to bite me in the butt, is the height difference between the big truck and the little Ryker. This is approximately what he could see from his driver's seat. Do you see the problem? So when the truck went to back out of a fairly tight parking space, he cut his wheel early, and the back of his front tire impacted the back of my front tire, with the results that you see. I'm fine, by the way. I wasn't anywhere near the Ryker when it got hit, and the only damage is to the fender. So what happens next? Well, despite having agreed between the two of us that it would be a job taken care of outside of insurance, the guy who hit me was a stand-up guy, and he paid for the parts and a little bit extra for labor. I'm going to be doing the labor myself because it's good for channel views. When I first started doing this channel, I thought that I was going to be doing some videos about making improvements and modifications on the Ryker and some videos about travelogues. I very quickly realized that the actual strength of the relationship between me and the Ryker is not wrenching on it. And that space is very well covered on YouTube. If you want to see people making modifications to Rykers, I recommend Ryker Rides, or Rollin' on 3, or King Joffy Joe 413. No, the strength for me is what the Ryker allows me to do, the places it allows me to go that are places that many people, both in the United States and outside of the United States, have never seen and may never have the opportunity to see. So my channel will remain largely focused on travelogues, places that I can go, places that you could potentially go with the right opportunity and the right machine. For me, at the moment, that right machine is a Can-Am Ryker. As I said, the guy who hit me is a stand-up guy. He paid for the replacement parts, and it occurred to me, as I was waiting for the check to arrive and waiting for the check to clear, that I had a choice. I could get the replacement fender parts, put the Ryker back in the same configuration it was before this incident. Or, let's digress a little bit. There are two reasons for the fenders. One is to keep road grime from flying up and hitting the rider. The other is to mount the turn signals that are on those front wheels and the reflectors that are on the back of them, but that's less important. What's important is those turn signals. There exists a part that moves those turn signals or supplements those turn signals by integrating turn signals with daytime running lights in the actual headlights. Buying that and the fuse box I would need to drive that comes out to about the same amount as replacing that fender. So I could take those fenders off, join what's called the no fender gang, and put my turn signals inside those headlights. Over the last few days, as I've been thinking about it, I've come to realize that I really like the bobber look of not having fenders. I've looked at pictures, I've watched videos of other people taking their fenders off and riding. I've watched a guy in Slovakia, of all places, talk about what it's like to ride his Spider without fenders. And all of that says to me, it's doable. The only downside is that I don't have the money to go back. If I make the decision to adopt that bobber look and take those fenders off, I don't have the money to then also replace the damaged pieces of that fender. So there's no going back, or at least it's not easy to go back. But as I thought about it, and as I talked about it with my friends, particularly Mandy from Tennessee, I realized that in some ways it's like getting a tattoo. You think about it, you sketch out what you want, you do your research, but you can't ever actually know that that's what you want on your body forever until you take the plunge. And yes, I have a tattoo. And no, I won't show it to you. So, at the moment, I'm about 99.5% sure that I'm going to bob my fenders, put the headlights, put the turn signals in the headlights, and go with that. If you can think of any reason why I shouldn't do that, drop it in the comment. So thanks for coming on this intellectual journey with me. If you like what you saw, please do all the regular YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with others who might enjoy looking at a damaged Ryker or a damaged rider. I'm the Nevada Stray Cat, and I'll see you around.